Hi everybody, my name's Olivia Gudaniec and you're watching Olivia Connects. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button because I post weekly interviews every Tuesday. Or at least I try to. Today we are joined by Marilyn Mazzotta. Welcome to the show.
Why, thank you.
Marilyn here is a certified astrologer and psychic. And for nearly 50 years, you've been a teacher, an author, and a medium. Mm-hmm. On top of that, you're a reverend with the Spiritualist Church of Canada.
Correct.
Someone's a busy lady.
Yeah. Very busy.
That's great. So I recently discovered that you have an agent and a manager.
True.
Is that typical for someone in your line of work?
No.
So how did that happen for you?
It's just, word of mouth, and someone liked what I did and decided that they could promote me. So I'm into spiritualism very deeply, and I would like people to know that when we pass over, life still continues in a different way, and that's sort of what I reach out for. And this gentleman understands my quest and is helping me with that.
Well, it's always nice to have someone on your side.
Yes, it is.
I want to briefly talk about the confidentiality aspect. So when you have a client, what's the protocol? Like, nobody signs something, right?
No.
So
but I really think that really depends on the reader themselves. There is no rules or engagement. I have my own rules of engagement, and it has served me well. I get the privilege of reading some very influential people, such as politicians and celebrities, that kind of thing. And one, they know that it will never be revealed. And two, I don't need people to know who my clients are to gain work.
Right, you're busy enough.
I'm busy enough.
Speaking of that, do you ever turn people down? Are there any restrictions or regulations on who you will or won't take?
Well, nowadays everything is booked online, and now the big backlash is people can't find appointments. So that's the big thing. No, once in a while I'll turn someone down if they've come for a session and then they want another session a few months later. Usually I do turn them down because I'm a reader, I'm not a therapist. I don't like reading anyone under 18. I prefer 25 and up, simply because sometimes readings aren't easy to process, and when we're young, we become more drama. and we focus on things, and sometimes we're overemphasizing something.
Absolutely. So if somebody wants to come and see you, other than an open mind, what do they need to bring with them or prepare?
Sense of humor. I have a terrible sense of humor. Usually I encourage people to always know when you go for a reading, don't feed the reader. And that's just simply, don't go into the long stories and give explanations because they gave you one word. Because then what is happening is you're feeding the reader. You can end up with the reader's opinion, not what the tools are trying to say. And so you take over the reading. And so I always encourage my clients, bring a list of questions. At the end of the session, my goal is to answer all your questions without you having to ask it. And hopefully I accomplish my goal. And at the end, it's very abrupt. It ends very suddenly. Do you have any questions? But it's also to make sure that we've covered everything that you want covered.
Yep. Very good. And I watched in one of your past interviews, and you said something that stood out for me, that all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums.
Correct.
Personally, I thought it's either you have the gift of sight or you don't. So can you just elaborate a little more on that?
Well, I think everyone is psychic, and I think everyone has a gut feeling. Everyone has that pit in their stomach, that sense of, oh, this is going to be good, or oh, this is not going to be good. We all have that. We don't always all utilize it. Yeah. But as far as, I know a lot of mediums, and when I listen to other mediums and they talk about how they got started and that kind of thing, the storyline is always the same. really it is always almost the same. But I think all mediums, when they were children, there was a fear factor to some degree. We all had our imagination friends, which were spirit people, but we didn't know they were spirit people. And in my generation, at least, I was sort of taught not to speak like this in places. And there's been an incident when I was in grade 1. I got expelled simply because I unnerved the teacher. And I really was a very shy child.
What did you say? Can you share?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really remember what I really did wrong, other than I was just eager to please, and I'd raise my hand and say blue, and she'd say, I haven't asked the question yet.
Oh.
And so it was unnerving her, and so she just felt I was too creepy.
Oh.
Too bad.
Yeah,
oh well.
Her loss.
Yeah.
Here you are, successful business lady. So is this something that gets passed down from generation to generation, or is it completely random?
No, I think there is a line. My grandfather was a clairvoyant, and my mother was very, very psychic. So, and I can think of a couple of aunts who were very, very psychic. So I don't think. We tend to see stories of that, and so on one side of the family it was far more liberal in that mindset than on the other side of the family, but my father adapted.
Have you ever thought of mentoring somebody?
Yes, my problem is many people aren't willing to put in the work. There's a lot of study. It's a study. It's not, I struggle when I meet people who say they read the tarot, and it's just whatever they get the psychic impression of. And I think how sad, because the tarot is so rich in its meanings that if you studied the meanings of the cards, you will actually have a better accuracy rate. And the same thing with astrology. So, because I don't think psychic ability is consistent. I think there are some times where you're on the mark and you're just hopping and you're right. Mm-hmm. And then there's other days, nothing. You flatline, or you're blank, or you're off. And that has a lot to do with you. Emotionally, are you in a good place or a bad place? And I don't think we can always, as a human being, we can always be on our game.
Yes, it's exhausting. Yes. It's like turn on.
Yeah, and so we can't turn it on all the time. It's not as easy as I would like it to be. I think as much as that can be complicated, when one learns tools, if the psychic is sort of flatlining, the tool will take over. Your knowledge of the tool will take over. And eventually, guess what? Then the psychic and the psychic brings you back. So that's why I encourage people to learn. And I think it's very, very lucky to be able to love to do what you do and able to make a living at it.
Well, congratulations in that regards. So one thing I always do every day is read my horoscope. Is that something you do?
No.
No? I'm sure you have much more resources.
No, I look at my chart.
Okay.
Horoscopes are based on sun sign astrology. Sun sign astrology this is where skeptics have a field day, is on the horoscopes that are in the newspaper. Because if you read them all, you'll probably be able to relate to at least 2, 3, maybe 4 of them. Now, why? Because you're more than your sun. You have an ascendant that can be very impotent, as well, or potent, as well as your moon, which is very significant, as well as your sun sign. And then again, your sometimes a certain aspect might be very significant at that moment. So with sun sign astrology, it's looking at the sky today and how, for example, we're in the sign of Aries right now. Okay.
And it's currently April.
So the opposite sign of Aries is Libra. So Libra might be having a rough time right now because it's in opposition of Aries.
All right. Is there any resources you can send people to, I guess, get more informed? Or
Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of things on the internet now. You can get free charts at Now, my favorite place is Astrolab Astrology, and you can get a free chart there, or astral.com. You can get a free chart there. And
I'll be sure to put the links below, so check them out.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend those two. You've got to be careful. Some of the sites, the mathematics or the calculations are a little bit off. So those two, I know they're not off. So that's why I recommend them.
Perfect. And for those who want to get in touch with Marilyn, I'll also leave her website link below. She does full sessions, which are one-on-one at home, mini sessions, which are on the phone, trance healing, spirit sittings. There's a ton of stuff, so you guys can just check it out yourselves. And now we're going to get into the show and tell portion, so stay tuned. So, Marilyn, what are you going to show us today?
Well, I'm going to show the pendulum because I think this is a very handy-dandy kind of tool. And it's so easy to work and so easy to learn. You can learn it in a few minutes. You just need to understand why we're doing it the way we're doing it. Okay. Our auric field, we all have an auric field. And that auric field is in constant flux, constant change. So we can't rely on, this is a pendulum. And we can make a pendulum out of anything. You know what I mean? You can, if you have a necklace, you can use a necklace. Just anything that has a weight where you can sort of just leave it to dangle on your own accord, okay? And before you ask the question, you first need to check the auric field. Okay. And everyone's auric field is different, and it's different throughout the day. If you check it in the morning and check it in the evening, you're going to find it's different. So before you ask the question, you have to know where your auric field is, because it's going to influence the pendulum. So that middle finger is indicating now that the circle, and it's anti-clockwise, means yes. Okay. Now we need to know what no direction will be. And see how quick it changes? Yeah. And that indicates the answer will be no. And then we put the thumb in. Okay, so now I know the three directions. Anti-clockwise, north and south, and east and west. Okay, so anti-clockwise meant yes, north and south meant no, and east and west meant maybe. Now I close my eyes and ask a question. And as you can see, the answer will be, what does it look like? It looks like it's going to go yes. There you go. Yeah. All right, so now you shouldn't consult the pendulum more than once a day.
So and like one question a day?
One question a day. That's the best, because if you start asking many questions, what ends up happening is you're not receiving the answer.
There you go. So get your hands on one of those guys. And before I let you go, if there was another job you could see yourself doing, whether instead of your career or even for a day, what would it be and why?
It would probably be something else in service, you know, to maybe sit with palliative care, or to work in an emergency department or something of that nature.
So definitely helping others.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful.
Where I am.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Marilyn. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And if you guys want to get in touch with Marilyn, please be patient. But I will leave all her details below. Take care.
Bye.